Mr. Browner led the museum tour. He rode up front in his wheelchair, guiding us through the big, echoey galleries, past the marble statues and the glass cases full of really old black and orange pottery. It blew my mind that this stuff had survived for 2,000, 3,000 years. He gathered us around a 4-meter tall stone column with a big sphinx on the top and started telling us how it was a grave marker, a stele, for a girl about our age. He told us about the carvings on the sides. I was trying to listen to what he had to say, because it was kind of interesting. But everybody around me was talking, and every time I told them to shut up, the other teacher chaperone, Mrs. Dodds, would give me the evil eye. Mrs. Dodds was this little math teacher from Georgia who always wore a black leather jacket. Even though she was 50 years old, she looked mean enough to ride a Harley right into her locker. She had come to Yancey halfway through the year, when our last math teacher had a nervous breakdown. For her first day, Mrs. Dodds loved Nancy Bobovit, and figured I was the evil spawn. She would point her crooked finger at me and say, "Now, honey, real sweet." And I knew I was going to get after-school detention for a month. One time, after she'd made me erase answers out of old math workbooks until midnight, I told Grover I didn't think Mrs. Dodds was human. He looked at me real serious and said, "You're absolutely right." Mr. Browner kept talking about Greek funeral art. Finally, Nancy Bobofit snickered something about the naked guy on the stele, and I turned around and said, "Will you shut up?" It came out louder than I meant it to. The whole group laughed. Mr. Browner stopped his story. "Mr. Jackson," he said, "did you have a comment?" My face was totally red. I said, "No, sir." Mr. Browner pointed to one of the pictures on the stele. "Perhaps you'll tell us what this picture represents." I looked at the carving and felt a flush of relief, because I actually recognized it. That's Kronos eating his kids, right? "Yes," Mr. Browner said, obviously not satisfied. "And he did this because, well, I racked my brain to remember. Kronos was the king god and God?" Mr. Browner asked. "Titan," I corrected myself. And he didn't trust his kids, who were the gods. So, Kronos ate him, right? But his wife hid baby Zeus and gave Kronos a rock to eat instead. And later, when Zeus grew up, he tricked his dad, Kronos, into barfing up his brothers and sisters. "You," said one of the girls behind me. And so there was this big fight between the gods and the titans, I continued, and the gods won. Some sneakers from the group. Behind me, Nancy Bobofit mumbled to a friend, like we're going to use this in real life. Like it's going to say on our job applications. "Please explain why Kronos ate his kids." "And why, Mr. Jackson?" Browner said. To paraphrase Miss Bobofit's excellent question, does this matter in real life? "Busted," Grover muttered. "Shut up," Nancy hissed, her face even brighter red than her hair. At least Nancy got in trouble too. Mr. Browner was the only one who ever caught her saying anything wrong. He had radar ears. I thought about his question and shrugged. "I don't know, sir." "I see." Mr. Browner looked disappointed. "Well, have credit, Mr. Jackson. Zeus did indeed feed Cronos a mixture of mustard and wine, which made him disgorge his other 5 children, who, of course, being immortal gods, had been living and growing up completely undigested in the Titan's stomach. The gods defeated their father, sliced him to pieces with his own scythe, and scattered his remains in Tartarus, the darkest part of the underworld. On a happy note, it's time for lunch. Mrs. Dot, would you lead us back outside? The class drifted off, the girls holding their stomachs, the guys pushing each other around and acting like doofuses.